Rollerdrome is a game set sort of in the future, 2030, but like by way of 1975. Competitors enter the arena. They are vastly outnumbered and they get in there on a set of roller skates and do their best to survive. It's really fast action, competitive sport, and we got a really beautiful illustrative art style which sort of harks back to sort of like maybe European comics of like sort of 70s and 80s.
One of our very first goals was like there were these really cool GIFs and also really cool GIFs, and that one little 5-second loop took 120 attempts to make it look that dope. But how do we get to a point where in any run, in any arena, you'll do something as cool as that just through playing it?
It's not for the faint-hearted. It's a pretty challenging experience, but one that's really rewarding. And there was an inherent appeal when you play it and you hear the music and you see all the artwork. It sort of comes together and sort of evokes a bit of a feeling that I don't think a lot of games tap into, really.
Cara, she's a newcomer to the sport. She's a strong, independent woman and incredibly capable. She is kind of like a representation for the player. So you experience the world at the same time as Cara does. Cara's look, we wanted it to be quite simple but iconic. So it has the air of practicality about it in that it's a jumpsuit.
We made probably like 50 different iterations of the jumpsuit, really. We had at some point a massive patch in the back of the character, but we were seeing the back of the character all the time and we decided it's just too much.
Originally, she was going to be helmeted the whole time, but as like creating her developed, she became her own personality and her own person and got a face.
A lot of work went into just making that core combat experience as fun as it could be. And I think in some of our early experiments, it became clear that like everything running at full speed was beyond the skill level of most players. So that's where we started to introduce, ideas like the bullet time, which allows you to slow the action down.
And so then if you engage reflex time during a perfect dodge, that's when we put you into super reflex, where everything kind of goes blue, all the enemies are highlighted red, and you do extra damage and everything's way cooler and pumped up.
Once that clicks for the player, they turn from prey into the predator. The music was initially a bit of a challenge. We knew we needed something also quite high energy, and there were a few kind of synthwave tracks that we really liked. And one of the artists whose tracks we really liked was Electric Dragon.
I wasn't really thinking so much about an album listener experience with all its peaks and troughs so much as something that was just got to keep the track hitting while to drive the action forward.
When you're working on something and you think it's good, you hope other people are going to connect with it in the way that you do, but you never really know for sure. But to have picked up something as prestigious as a BAFTA, which is kind of once in a lifetime bucket list stuff to sort of be up on that stage accepting that award.
I cried when we found out we won. Like, Rollerdrome is the work I am most proud of doing and getting the chance to work on. So having that acknowledged is an incredible feeling. It's so cool, so great.
Just so glad that other people think the game is as good as we did, because we love it.